Welcome, welcome everyone. And as you're coming in, if you don't mind, just letting us know where you're from. We're just going to give a little time for more people to join. The voice that you're currently hearing is Felicia with Michaels. So please just come on in and let us know where you're from. And just so I don't take up too much more of your time, once again, I just want to welcome everyone to the die cut card making for beginners with with Sarah Davies. And so before we start our class today, we have a few items to go over to ensure everyone can have the best class experience possible. If you don't want to see the chat during the class, you can turn it off in your Zoom settings. We do have the closed captioning automatically enabled for all classes. You can turn it off in your settings as well. As this is a webinar, please type any questions you have directly into the Q&A, and we will have someone to answer your questions there. Any other questions can be handled within the chat. If you have any technical issues during the class, please direct message me directly again. I am Felicia with Michaels, or you can also message Maddie, also with Michaels, and we can assist you there. So once again, I just want to welcome everyone to the class. And now over to you, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, Felicia. Yes, and welcome everyone. I see we're still getting people coming in there in dribs and drabs. I'm going to give everybody a quick second to get on here. For those of you that don't know me, for a start, I think this wonderful accent might kind of give it away a little bit. So yes, the great news is through the medium of technology, I am beaming to you right across the pond. So I'm over here in the UK. It is 9 o'clock at night here. I've done my day in the office. I've been home, bathed the kids, got them put to bed, had a bite of dinner, and come back in to spend the next hour with you doing some crafting. So yes, my name's Sarah. I'm from Crafters Companion, and I'm one of the vendor partners that work with Michaels. And I've been working with Michaels now for, crikey, it must be 7 or 8 years. And this is the first time I've done one of these classes. So I'm super excited to get on here with you. It's not the first time, though, that many of you might have seen me presenting like this. So a lot of the presentations I do, you'll see me do on Facebook or YouTube or on HSN, the shopping channels. So it's really exciting to be presenting live on the Michaels class platform here. And also a massive hello to all those of you who are out there watching me on Facebook as well. So I've got Adriana from Texas, we've got Katie from California, we've got Alicia from New York. Have I read that right? Yes, Susan from Alabama. Oh, crikey, we've got people from all over. Oh, Terry from Ohio as well. Can I just say, every time I seem to be in Ohio, it's snowing a lot. Let me just tell you, we are due snow in the UK here this week. It is absolutely freezing. So I don't know what the Ohio weather is this time of year, but yes, I was thinking of you guys in Ohio earlier today as I had to de-ice the car to come into work. So massive hello to everyone. Wherever you're from, I would love to hear. I would love to hear where you're from in the chat. And also, I really want to know who is with me today. So are you a brand new beginner crafter? Or have you been crafting a long time? Is this the first time that you've taken a class about die cutting? Or are you a die-hard Crafters Companion fan and Gemini user and you've just joined today to get some hints and tips? What I am going to do is I'm going to go right back to basics because I know that we have a lot of people signed up for this class who are brand new to die cutting. Maybe you don't even know what die cutting is. So we're going to go right back to basics on some of the die cutting. I'm going to teach you all about our amazing machine, the Gemini Junior. So this is a fully automated electronic die cutting machine. So it's a little bit like, you know, we have the hand crank machines. It's like a motorized version of one of them. Totally different to like a Cricut machine, which is, I always see a Cricut as like a whiz. It's a bit of a printer that does everything for you. It's computerized. You tell it what to do. This this is like one of those manual hand crank machines, but instead of you having to manually hand crank it, we have a lovely little, the wire goes into the back, and that's going to do all of the work into the back there. Oh, look at that, you've got me water bottle in the back. This is me preparing for a full-on hour class with you guys here with my my full, I'm going to drink 2 litres of water. Keep me on track with that as we're going, actually. Look at that, I'm only up to 11 o'clock this morning, and we're now approaching 9:10 on the evening, right? So that is kind of what we're going to be covering today. This is the class that we're going to be doing, okay? So I'm going to be teaching you some of the die cutting, we're going to do a little bit of tag making, and then also this technique in the background, we're going to learn how to do some watercoloring like that. We're going to learn how to do this 3D embossing using the watercoloring techniques then with your pieces that come in with your Gemini. And the great news is, for any of you who are crafting along live with me, I know there might be some of you out there crafting along live with me. If you have a Gemini Junior, what I'm going to be using are all of the die cuts and accessories that come in the package as a starter kit when you get your Gemini. So if you're just going for a Gemini brand new now, or if you've got one, when you buy the machine, I don't kind of send you off into the sunset and hope for the best. I always send you all like a little starter kit to come in with it. And in your starter kit, you get a lovely selection of dies. We get some multimedia dies included in there as well. You get the embossing folder, and this is a 3D embossing folder. So if you search the Gemini Junior, is that right? I'm pointing the right way on the screen. Yeah, I did. So if you search Gemini Junior on michaels.com, you'll see not only do you get the machine, but you get the machine and all of the accessory pieces. You also get the plate. Now, this is the one bit about die cutting that everyone thinks is super complicated. How do I know which plates to use when I'm doing what? So I promise that we're going to cover all of that. And to be honest, I'm happy to cover whatever you want, because the whole point is we are live and interactive. So if you've got questions, you want to ask me live in the question box, I'm going to be able to take those questions literally as we are going. So let's kind of get started with it first. If I show you, I'm going to break the class down into different sections. So we're going to start with a little bit of basic die cutting on the background panel. And what I've done is I've cut myself just a piece of cardstock. So I've just taken some nice pearlescent card, and I know these slimline cards are all the rage at the moment, so I've kind of gone for my own, not a standard size, but just folded my own kind of slimline-ish card, and then I've cut a layer to go on the front. So can you see I've cut it to about the same width and a little bit shorter. And what I've done is I've cut it to the same thickness as what this die here is. Now this is a special die, and I would say that because I designed it, and I say that about all of our dies. But what's special about it is, if we look up close, okay, the die, the actual cutting piece starts on this corner and runs all the way around, and it stops here. So all of this is cutting. However, what you'll notice is up this end here, there's no cutting line at all. And this is called an edgeable die. So what it's going to do is, as we place this on the edge of our paper, it's actually going to stay connected to this piece of the card, and it's just going to cut out around here. So when you're going to do cutting like that, I always recommend getting a little bit of low-tack tape like this, position that die cut in place, and then hold it in place with a little bit of tape so that we can send it through our machine. So what's going to happen is it's going to shape the end of that cardstock but stay connected into the card. Now, here we go. We're going to cut that through the machine. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off with some of your Gemini plates, and we always have these lovely clear plates are the ones that go on the outsides of the sandwich. So everything else happens in the middle, and these clear plates happen on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this so that we're cutting through the cardstock. It'll cut right through and into that plate at the bottom. And then what you then need to do is put the clear plate on top of it. We're going to put the magnetic plate on top of that. And then you're going to put your other clear plate on top of that. Right? So that's the sandwich that we need. And then the beauty with working with your Gemini machine, any Gemini, because we do this, the junior one, we do large size ones, we do super size ones, is you offer it into the machine, and that machine is now fully automated. So it is going to feed this all the way through, right out the other end, and as soon as it comes out the other end, the motor will stop now. And you'll see if I turn this over, you can see that that's cut all of the way through. Now, let me just show you, this is quite an intricate die. So can you see, we can see that that's cut all the way through. If for any reason you find when you're cutting yours, it's missed a little bit, you will notice that you also get this metal shim included. Now, if you ever want to have like a crisper die cut, what you do is you add the metal shim in. So I'll send it through another time. I'm going to put the same sandwich together, but this time with the metal shim in, just so you can see how much crisper that cut is with the metal shim. Now, you only need to use the metal shim when you've got really intricate dies, which this is. When you use simpler dies, you don't need that metal shim. So look at this, we've got that lovely detailed cut. Now, the Gemini machine, should I let you into a little secret? It's called the Gemini machine because it's like, you know, the star sign Gemini. It's a twin function machine. It's a die cutting machine, which is what we've just done, and it's an embossing machine. So you'll find that you get your embossing mat included. So what I want to do now is I've cut that pattern out beautifully well, but I also want to emboss it. And when you want to emboss, watch, we've got the bit where it's cut up into here. I'm going to add the embossing mat in, but in doing that, I'm going to take out this plate here. And I'm going to do the same sandwich and send it through again. Now, Helen is saying she needs some tips on embossing. But the great news is, Helen, over the course of this demonstration, I'm going to be doing embossing with our die cuts, and I'm also going to be doing embossing with embossing folders. So we'll cover on both of them while we're here. So I promise I'll give you lots of tips as we're going, Helen. That's why it's great to be live and seeing what everyone wants to do. Now, if I lift this off, guys. Oh, look at that, straight off there. Look, I'm going to just tap this out of the back, right? This here, if I just take them, right, this is what I wanted you to see, all right? Did you see how all those pieces just fell out of the die? And actually, if you ever want, can you see, you can just poke these little bits out if you want. I'm just going to take the little edges like this, and it's going to give you an absolute perfect finish. Now, Linda's in the comments asking what is the exact size of this card. I knew you'd want the exact sizes, Linda. Let's have a little look. Do you want me to should I measure it on here? It is 8 1/4 by 4.5 inches. 8 1/4 by 4.5. And this little piece of white card started off life at also 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, so it's a little bit shorter. Look at that lovely detail we've got on the side, and that's because it's connected here, because that die cut, if I take this off here now, the beauty with that die cut is there's no cutting edge along here. So it's going to cut this detail out but stay connected. So we'll do all that again, guys, at the other side. So I want you to be able to see that, so we do the same again. I'm going to pop this onto the edge like this. Just use my tape. Now notice I'm sticking the tape, and this is a brilliant tip. I'm sticking the tape on the bits that are going to cut away. I'm not sticking it onto the bit of the card that we're going to keep, because the problem with doing that is sometimes with the intense pressure that you've got in the machine, what happens is you're going to end up with like the tape being super sticky. We don't want it to be super sticky, all right? Now, let me show you again that sandwich for everyone, right? If it was a regular die, we'd just cut it face down into the glass cutting mat. No, it's not glass, it's the acrylic cutting mat. Because it's intricate, we're adding in that metal shim and cutting into the metal shim. And then you want your clear cutting plate, you want your magnetic cutting plate, and you want the top cutting plate, and then we're going to go and send that. When I say send it, you literally offer it into the mouth of the machine. The machine automatically takes it and feeds it through. So essentially what the machine is, for those of you who are brand new to this, right? Inside this machine, it's like, can you remember in the good old-fashioned days, you had those mangles that they used to put the wet clothes through and it would wring the clothes out? That's what's inside here, just 2 rollers pushing against each other, so that when you send the sandwich through the middle here, those 2 rollers, which you won't see because they're all contained within inside, it pressurizes that together. So whatever the pattern is on your die cut will be cut out into the paper. So if I lift that up here, we can see here it's cut all that detail into that piece here. So we've cut the detail in. Now we want it to be really nice and fancy and embossed. So what we do is, it's as though you're cutting into this embossing mat. This comes included too. So your die cut is facing upwards on top of the base plate. You put your embossing mat on, You want that clear mat on. This time we don't have this. This is only for die cutting, and you put the top plate back in. And that is going to give me that lovely embossed background and that embossed panel. So we can do all of that die cutting beautifully well. So that's going to give me a nice background, and any of the dies that you see we do, which are edgeable dies, so that's the magic word you're looking for, edgeable. All of the edgeable dies are absolutely brilliant because what they do, let me just tap out, I'm just going to tap this out of the background here. All these edgeable dies all work in the same way in that they are all going to, let me just find my pokey tool, here it is. All these, what was I saying, sorry. All the edgeable dies are going to work in exactly the same way, okay? Now, I'm using the little pokey tool here, but you could also use a die brush if you wanted to, like, brush the pieces outside of the die. So whereas I've got pieces left in the die here, if I want to brush those pieces out of the die, you'll see we get this die brush tool. You would just rub that over the edge, and it just releases all those pieces out of the die. So that's what your die brush tool is, or if you want to use your pokey tool like that. And this here is going to go on the base here. Now, is it Letty? Letty is asking, why do we need all these different plates? Well, let me just explain, Letty, okay? So you always have these two outside plates. They're the ones that are they're made of the special material, which is really strong, which is going to come into contact with the rollers and absorb the extra force, okay? When we're doing die cutting, this one is actually a magnetic base, so you can position your dies on here. So you've got the magnetic positioning die to position the dies if you want. I'm just using it not as a positioning die because I want you to be able to see it, because otherwise I would put this on, put my paper on over the top, and you would have no idea what I was doing because you wouldn't be able to see for the camera. So I'm just doing mine a little bit back to front. And then we use the shim just to give you the right amount of pressure when we're using these dies. You'll see when we do embossing, we use a different combination of plates. So it's just these ones here when we're doing our die cutting, or you're going to use these ones here when we're doing our embossing with the dies. Right, here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position this on the base of my card. Now I've got a little bit of a tip for you, okay? Two different types of tape pen here, okay? You've got the straight tape pen and you've got the dotty tape pen. Now what I'm going to do is onto the back of here, I'm going to take the straight tape pen and use loads of tape all over the base of my cardstock so that we've got, it's nice and sticky. If I was to use a lot of tape all over here, in fact, you know what? I've got another piece of card that I've been working on. Let me show you what it would look like. If I put that tape all over the back of here, right? And then if we just go in really close on the camera so you can see, can you see that we've kind of got little like spider's webs of glue all inside there? Looks terrible, right? This is not how your projects look professional. So we don't want a spider's web of adhesive all over the back. If I contrast that, if I use the dotty tape pen instead, and I put the dotty tape pen all over the base, what happens is you only get tape where you have cardstock underneath. So again, I'll let the camera be staying there nice and close so that you can see the difference. Absolutely no tape showing through here, versus here, we've got that cobweb of tapes that's just going to catch the light. So it's a little tips like this that'll really make your cards look super professional. You want to use the straight tape where you've got solid areas, the dotty tape where you've got die cut areas. That is then going to lie on the base of your card, and we've got that lovely kind of fancy base to work from, okay? Now, Phyllis has asked, have you got any tips to avoid warping of the plate? Now, let me just explain what she means by warping. At the moment, these plates are nice and straight. If you use them a lot, the same way, after a while, they'll look like a banana. Because what's happening is this is such a powerful machine. You've got an absolute ton of pressure in there, and the excess pressure has to get absorbed somewhere, and it'll get absorbed by the outside plates. Now you can see there, we do stock the clear cutting plates on michaels.com. So you might want, it's a little bit like the tires on your car. You want to replace them from time to time. It's the same with the cutting plates. However, there are a couple of tricks which will help you extend the life of your plates. If you notice, every time I'm using them, I always turn it over over and turn it round so that I'm equally wearing out the top and the bottom, and I'm equally wearing out the front side from the base side. So I'm putting pressure from the die in all the different areas over the plate. If you remember to do that with your plates every time you use them, and we print the logo on the bottom so it's easy to do, then they will wear evenly and you will get thousands and thousands of passes out of them. If you're like me and you kind of forget to do that, then you'll just have to buy yourself a new plate every 6 months or something. So it's just up to you, okay? So that is going to give you the nice base card. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to decorate. If you remember the card that we're doing, we're working on this one here. I'm going to show you how to create this lovely coloured background, which we're then going to do a bit of embossing with, because it's a few stages with this one. Now, for this, I'm going to move away from die cutting for a second, and we're going to do a little bit of watercolouring. Now, the trick with watercolouring, and I've got some of our watercolour pens. Again, we've got lots of watercolour pens on michaels.com. Go and have a look. That is the Aqua pens that I'm using. So the clue's in the name. Aqua pens are the water-based pens. So you can take a few colours, whatever colour background you want. I've just taken a few of our Aqua pens that I use a lot, and we're going to do our own washed background. Now, the washed backgrounds, the great trick is if you use a watercolour card, the backgrounds will wash out a lot easier, all right? So I've got watercolour card, I've got a little bit of water, and just a nice big brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use these, instead of painting direct onto the card, you can do this a couple of different ways. I can take the pen and colour direct onto the card, and then take a little bit of water, and I can just wash this out. Or the other option is you can actually pick up the colour from your base. So what I could do is I could pop another different shade of blue into here now. I can pick it up from the base and then wash with it onto the background here. So different options of either doing the pen straight onto the background or picking it from your glass mat or any sort of shiny surface like this and washing out the background like that. So there's the background kind of first couple of colours on there. And they're starting to dry already at the top. And watch what I'm going to do now. Just take a little bit of kitchen towel here. And I'm going to start with the next colour. So I want to blend this into a nice shade of purple here. So what I'm going to do is take the pink, come at the other side with a little bit of pink. So I'm just going to paint that into there. And again, just dampen my brush. Notice I'm taking off the excess water here, and I'm just washing that out. And where the pink hits the blue, I'm going to get myself a lovely shade of purple. And the more water that you add, what's going to happen is it's going to wash out a little bit more. Now, Terry is particularly enjoying this section here. So is this your cup of tea, this, Terry? Do you like the kind of watercolour effects? I love to do watercolour backgrounds like this. I do a lot of teaching of different watercolour effects like that. It's definitely a favourite of mine too. There we go. So I've got lovely different shades. Now, if you like that, Terry, you're going to absolutely love this bit that comes next, because I'm going to show you how to do what's called a faux bleaching effect. All right. So let me just make sure that's nice and straight. Get another bit of paper towel, and then watch what we're going to do. I'm just going to take some brushes here. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to just dip into my water. So I'll put this just where the camera is. I'm going to dip in, and I'm going to flick some little bits of water onto the background. Can you see that? So I've just flicked the water onto the background, and I'm going to give it a couple of seconds for the water just to settle on that background, okay? And then when I come and just lie this over the back, can you see what it's done? It's actually picked up the water droplets, so that when I lift this off, I get that faux bleaching effect. So I'm going to get the like splodgy colour coming out in the background. What you can then do, if you want to go another level, is I can pop a little bit of colour down like this. I can just add a bit of water so that we've got like a nice runny pink, and then splodge a little bit of pink into the background, and also do the same with a little bit of blue. So again, a little bit of water on there, and splodge a little bit of blue onto the background like this. So you've just got like your own, let's just tap this on, there we go, your own kind of watercolory background like that. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to put that to one side to let that dry, to then do the next little bit of work on that. So I thought we'd get that ready, I could show you that technique, and then I'm going to pop that to one side. Now, Deb has asked a quick question, and she said, which tape is it I used for the intricate die cutting pieces? So that was the two tapes I had. I had the straight tape pen and also the dotty tape pen. It's the dotty one. So again, if I just show you this is the one where you can see we've got like the little cobwebs all in the background. Whereas if you look at the card that we've done, no cobwebs whatsoever. That's because we use the dotty one, so none of the tape then shows through. So that's the Saris. Let me just show you these together. If I open this up, there we go. Don't want that to touch, but that is the effect that we don't want with all of the cobwebs in there. Yeah, and this is the one we do want, the nice professional stick. Right, there we go. So back to die cutting, right? We've got the base card. Let's go and do now the little tag. Now, if I tell you this is a different type of die cut in the set. So in the set, we try and give you a few of all our different die cuts so you can try along with different ones. The ones on this sheet here, you can see there, these are our regular papercraft dies. These ones are our multimedia, so it tells you your multimedia die, and you can see they're a lot thicker. They're just made of a different material, which is much thicker. Now, these dies are designed to go through fabric and leather and felt, and what you find is all of the die cutting, all of the dies that we have, all of the Gemini dies, will work in not only the Gemini Junior, but any die cutting machine out there. They all play nice with their other friends from different families, if that makes sense. You can use the Gemini Junior machine with all of your other dies, and you can use all of the Gemini dies with any other die cutting machine. They're not just exclusive to those machines. So, lovely question, whoever was it asked that one, right? So with this one here, I'm actually still just cutting some cardstock, but the beauty of this is I can cut through multiple sheets at once because the die is so much thicker. So I've got some lovely intricate mirror card here, and I've got another piece of that pink cardstock. I'm going to hold these two in place. Just have a little look. I'll hold them all together there. And again, now, because these dies are thicker, it's a different sandwich combination, right? So the multimedia dies, you cut into your base plate, you put your clear plate on top, and then you put your other top clear plate. What you don't need is this. You don't need this for your multimedia dies, so you can leave that out. Now, let me let you into another little secret when it comes to the Gemini, okay? The Gemini's got a fail-safe mechanism built into it. It's got a number of sensors, some that you can see and others that you can't see. So one of the sensors it's got is if you put too many plates through, you put it through too thick, they won't get stuck in the machine. The machine will automatically stop and reverse the plates back out. So you put the wrong plates in, it'll stop and reverse them back out. Also, if you try and put like your hand or your card in here, something that shouldn't go in there, look, the machine, it won't start. It's got some special sensors. You can see there one of the mechanical sensors and some optical sensors, and it senses that you've got the right plate combination at the right size, and it's actually a Gemini plate going in. It's not like a kid's hand or anything like that. You don't need to worry about putting anything else in. The machine won't operate. The engine won't start up until you've got the right combination of plates in there. So don't worry about that, okay? Right, here we go. So look, I can take these out now, and you can see there, they've cut through 2 layers of those dies. Absolutely no problem, right? That's because those are our thick multimedia dies. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a couple of fancy little bits as well. So I've got this one. Oh, let's have a little look. Yep, we've got this corner one, and look, I've got the nice word love on here, and you'll see there's a little space to keep all the dies back on this. So if you want to keep all your dies together, you can do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, let's just have a little white piece of card, and we'll put this into the corner. Oh, Gilmore's saying she loves hers. She used her original Gemini for the first time today, and it cut through like a hot knife through butter. Can I just say I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that. Look at this. I'm going to cut some glitter card here with a really intricate word die, and you'll see that even those will cut through like a hot knife through butter. So it's just the die selection that we give you in with the Gemini is just our way of demonstrating just how intricate you can go with all of this die cutting, okay? So I'm going to offer that through again. Look, I've got a little bit of a mess going on the table already. Is this how you guys work at home? Because this is my table all the time. It starts off looking pristine, and within half an hour, it's an absolute disaster. Now, Sue is asking, what is the difference between the Gemini Junior and the Gemini Go? So if I just tell you about all of our Gemini machines, so the one that we're working with here, the Junior, is a 6-inch wide opening. So it's a 6 inches by 9 inches long platform, okay? The big brother to it, which is the regular Gemini, the one that we did first, that is a 9-inch wide opening, and that cuts to 12 inches long. Then we have an even bigger one, so the Gemini Pro is 12 inches wide. And then if you want to go down the other way, we go smaller, and the Gemini Go, which you've just been asking about, is only 3 inches wide. So we basically have different machines in the family at different thicknesses. So that's all, like different widths that they're going to be able to work in. So that's the only difference. All those machines are all automated, all fully mechanical, and they just all work at different opening sizes. We also have, if you want to understand about the complete family, we have the Gemini Mini and the Gemini Midi. Those are our manual die cutting machines. So those are the ones where you have to be the engine for it. They don't have their own little engine, if that makes sense, but they're still designed to cut through as many thick materials as what you can do with any other Gemini. Now let's have a little look at this. I'm going to put my tags together. So what I've got is, I've got just like a little bit of ribbon here. I'm going to go, I think we'll go pink on the top. I want that intricate die cut on the bottom again. Now look, it's a little bit too big for my tag if I want. So if you want, you can trim off a couple of these little swirls, or I quite like that it's just going to fit beautifully onto that corner. So that is another one that calls for the dotty tape pen, because we don't want any extra taper coming out. Now Rhonda is saying the dotty tape pen is a game changer. Thank you, Rhonda. We designed it literally for the intricate die cuts like this. So those of you who are like me and love your intricate die cutting, trust me, you'll find, like Rhonda, that it is game changing when it comes to all these intricate dies. Look at that. And then something else I love to do, you see, if I want to put my dotty tape pen even onto the back of something like this, you can always also put a few dots across the top. We can put that love die cut on there, and then you can always rub away the excess tape. Can you see that? Just the excess tape just rubs away so that I don't have it where I don't want it, and that will just literally rub off, because it's like a low tack one. There we go. So I've got my excess tape just put away, and we've got the lovely love die cut there. I like doing this where you just slightly off center the tags. So all I'm going to do is pop these off and stick them together. Now Rhonda actually loves her Gemini, she's saying. She's got 2 of the original ones, 1 Pro and a Midi. All of those, Rhonda. Adriana, she has a Mini, a Midi, and also the Pro. Now, can I just tell you, the fact that there are this many people sitting here telling you that they have that many Gemini machines, hopefully for those of you who are new to this, you'll start and realise that it is a pretty awesome machine. For people to be sitting telling you they've bought so many of the Gemini machines, really, I mean, Rhonda will tell you, you only need one, don't you, Rhonda? You only need one, and you can do all these lovely projects with one. But I just think it is lovely to have, you'll find it becomes a little bit of a thing. If you want the other sizes, you want to kind of like go up in the world, as it was. Right. Tracy has the Junior, the original, and also the Mini. Fantastic. You know, it's lovely to hear. We've got so many big Gemini fans on the call today. And Tracy's also on a desk's also a mess, no matter how clean it started up. I'm glad to hear it's not just me. And I'm also glad to hear we've got so many Gemini fans on today. What I want to know is, have you learned something new? Have any of these little tips been helpful? Right, let's have a look. There's my little tag. That's looking lovely. And now all I need is hopefully that lovely background that I made will have dried enough that we can do our special technique on the background. Yeah, it seems dry enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the embossing folder that comes included, and we're going to emboss over the front of this as well. Now, while I'm going through and doing some embossing, and it was Helen who was wanting the tips about embossing, are there any other questions you guys want to know? Because I've got plenty of time for answering questions. So whether you want me to go in a little bit more in depth with something, whether you want me to cover some other techniques or anything like that, just ask me. You know, I am here, I'm with you for the whole hour, and I'm more than happy to take any questions live. As soon as we get the card finished as well, we'll have a little bit of time that I can touch on some extra questions, whether it was on the die cutting and about the machine, maybe it's about the pens, anything like that, not a problem at all. You just ask away, okay? Now, Mary has just received her junior and is asking, what is the best approach to deciding the format and size of a card? Well, I'll tell you what I do. I watch a ton of tutorials like this and try and get all my ideas. And then I mix up. So for example, this card that we're doing today, Mary, you could take this same concept and this same idea, but you could change out, excuse me, the colours, you could change out the style, you could change out the dyes, you could take this technique and use the edgeable dyes instead, a different type of edgeable dye instead. You could use, instead of the pinks and the blues, you could take it and do it in Christmas colours if you want, if you were doing cards for the holidays. So whatever it is, I always like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and come up with something brand new. I find you can watch tutorials and take inspiration from them. That's why we do these classes. We don't do these classes to say, hey, look how good our card making is, you go and do your own. We do them to say, look, here's some ideas we've got. You take them and adapt them and make them your own and do your own type of cards. And I can tell you, as someone who teaches a lot of classes, there is nothing more heartwarming than when you see a picture on Facebook or Pinterest later where someone says, I took Sarah's class, this is what we learned, but look, this is how I've adapted it and made it my own way a little bit later. I love to see them. So Kathy and Katie both want help with plate combinations. So come on, let's have a look at what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do, what plate combination I'm going to use now for my embossing. But can I just tell you, there is a full tutorial guide. So in your Gemini, you get the instruction booklet. And if I show you in the instructions, tells you all about what comes included in a few notes. Can you see we put pictures, cutting thin metal dies, cutting really intricate dies. There's here them deep multimedia dies, which is the one we've just done, embossing with the dies, embossing with a regular embossing folder, embossing with a 3D folder. So everything that you need to know is all in the instructions. But then we do also have loads of tutorials on the Crafters Companion website. And you can always go into the Crafters Companion YouTube channel for more tutorials specifically just about Gemini. And then we're building up more and more educational content on michaels.com. So you'll find though, we've sold hundreds of thousands of Gemini machines all over the world. It is the die cutting machine of choice for hundreds of thousands of crafters. So what you'll see is a lot of the big crafters, these are the machines that they use. So when they're doing video tutorials as well, they'll always say, oh, this is how I did it. These are the plate combinations I used. So little hints and tips you can pick up along the way. Right, going to do some embossing. So this is the background piece that you saw me create. This is the embossing folder. Now I want you to have a little feel, because you'll feel the back part is raised up and the front part is sunken in. And I know it's the front because it's where we've got the printing, right? Now, if you're never sure, all of our embossing folders, you can see you've got the printing. So what you need to do is have it so that you can see your pattern underneath the printing. However, if you are doing it with embossing folders from another company that doesn't have any printing on, always just have a little feel for where the indentation is, and you want your patterned card to go where that indentation is. Now, here's the thing, when we're doing 3D embossing, it's a different plate combination. Let me just show you what that is. You want your base plate, so you want one of those ones. You then want this magnetic plate, and you want this frosted plate. Those are the three plates that we use when it comes to your 3D embossing. And again, we're just going to offer this into the front of the Gemini, and it will automatically feed it. It reads that that is the right sandwich combination for that 3D embossing folder, and it's going to feed that through perfectly. Now, if you can see here, And it's a little bit difficult to see at the moment because it's hard for the camera to pick it up, but we'll get in nice and close. You can see there we've got the detailed embossing. If I just angle that, so that there we go. Now you can see, because, excuse me, because this is a 3D embossing folder, you've got that very, very light cross hatching on the back, but you can see all of these swirls we've embossed in detail in 3D into there. Now, it's a little bit hard to see them at the moment if I turn to the embossed section. However, let me show you what's going to make all the difference, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little applicator and one of our ink pads. So you're just going to use like a water reactive ink pad here. So like the Tim Holtz Distress inks would work in exactly the same way too. I'm going to take a little bit of ink onto the edge there and tap off the excess. And then watch what happens when we rub it over. It's going to pick up the detail in that embossing, all right? So just going over the top and it's showing off all of that embossing beautifully, but it only adds the ink on the top where we've got the embossing. You've still got that lovely pink underneath. So this is when I do embossing like this is how I like to do it. I like to put the ink on, and then I like to just do a little bit of colour over the top. Now, Mary is on my back saying, don't forget to drink your juice, Sarah. Right, let's have a little look, Mary. I'll get it up. So this, usually I'm very disciplined and I get through a whole one of these every day. I've done a lot of talking today, and when I do a lot of talking, there's not a lot of time for drinking. So, yeah. Good reminder, thank you. Keeping the throat well lubricated for plenty more talking as we go along. Right, there we go. So, just picking up plenty of that ink. And then look what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim this down. Have I got my guillotine under here? Now, Terry said she uses this folder all the time. It is a fabulous design. Terry, it most certainly is. Can I tell you, this is absolutely one of my all-time favourite folders that we do. Look, when I've cut off the excess there, how beautiful is that? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure it up to go on the front of the card. So at the moment, it's a little bit too wide. So let's have a little look. We'll cut a little bit of the blue off, and maybe it's a tiny little bit of the pink. Notice there's no kind of technique to this. I'm just doing it by eye, right? So you can just might take a little bit more off there, a little bit of pink off, a little bit of blue on here. There we go. Now, PJ's saying she loves the way I explain everything. Well, thank you very much. And she also loves, she loves how I say guillotine. Let me tell you, I remember the first time I ever did a TV show in America selling our guillotine. And someone said, it's not a guillotine, it's a guillotine. And I said, it's a what? It's a guillotine. So apparently you guys call these guillotines and we call them guillotines. And that's not just my fancy North English accent. If I was to ask the Queen, I'm pretty sure the Queen would also call it a guillotine. I will just explain that. So the part of England I'm from is right up in the north of England. So if you wonder why I don't sound like all of the other English people you've maybe met or the royal family that you hear, they're all from the south of England where they speak the Queen's English and we talk very posh and very correct. Up here, we talk a little bit northern. And yes, the whole of the country says guillotine. You guys in your guillotine, I think it's really funny. It's like tomato, isn't it? Rhonda's saying the CC guillotine is by far the best. Well, thank you very much, Rhonda. I'm glad you love it. Right, here we go. So I'm going to just put plenty of tape on now. And I've just got a nice matten layer of this onto a little bit of silver cardstock. And then that is going to go onto the front of my card. And actually, let me just keep nice and clean this up as we're going so we don't get blue all over the base. So this is going to matten layer onto the front of that card. And it's just coming together really beautifully now. Yeah, you're going to go nicely in there, aren't you? Yes, you are. And then, where was that little tag that we did? Right, here's our lovely little tag. And the lovely little tag is just going to sit there on the corner nicely. Now, if you want to 3D that tag up, you've got a few options. You can either use some like little 3-dimensional foam pads, or I like to use like a 3D glue gel. So if you're ever working with a 3D glue gel, it's a brand new tube I've got tonight as well. All you're going to do is you're going to peel this back off, and you're just going to put little bit, you see a couple of nice big globs of this 3D glue gel. It's like a hot glue gun, but it's not hot. And we're going to go into the corner there. And that's just going to give me a little bit of 3D. And that just shows you that whole card coming together. So Helen had quite a few questions about embossing. And one of the questions she asked is, do you have no second base plate for your 3D embossing? Now, let me tell you, so the 3D embossing folder, where have I put it? I have put it somewhere, here it is, yep, there we go. Put it somewhere really safe, always the case, right? So the 3D embossing folders are thicker than a regular embossing folder. And because they're thick, so a regular embossing folder, and when we designed the Gemini, we only had regular embossing folders. The technology for 3D embossing folders wasn't there. So what you would do is you would take your 2 outside cutting plates and you would put your folder in. And let's have a little look. I've got another piece of that cardstock. We might want to emboss it, right? And you would put your folder in between, and then you would offer this into your machine. Now, the problem is that there is just too thick for the machine, right? So that's why with a 3D embossing folder, we make them the right thickness. I'll just pop that right inside, so that when you use, let me just show you actually, if I was just to use it like this, right? And I send this through, it will work and it'll go through, but you won't have enough pressure to push it into every little nook and cranny that we've got in there, right? So if I just show you on here now, yeah, can you see, if we're getting nice and close, it's a little bit of a damp squid. Can you see that? It's a little bit of a damp squid in terms of there's not much embossing on there. Damp squid, is that a terminology you use in the US? Or is that sounds like something else I've just worked on? Well, let me just show you. I'm going to show you something quite clever here, right? I'm going to put this on just half of the embossing folder, so that what I can do is I can show you the difference between embossing half of it with the right sandwich and embossing half of it with not the right sandwich, and you'll see the difference in the pressure. All we're doing is playing about with the pressure to get the right amount of pressure in there, right? So if we're on the overhead camera not there, look at this. So can you see on this one here, we've got a lot of pressure there. I'll see if we can get in a little bit closer. You can see that lovely cross hatching in the background, and you can see that detail, and then down here, it actually just looks a little bit plain, doesn't it? You can see it hasn't pushed into every little bit of detail of this. Now, it's a little bit hard for you to see on the other side where we've got the, oh, you can kind of see it there. This is a little bit, you know, not very good. This is fantastic detailed embossing. And if I'm doing the same thing, so if I now bring out the, where's the ink pad? And you can see the difference, right? Apparently you guys are going crazy for that lovely damp squid comment. I think I've started something here. Maybe that's a Sarah-ism. Maybe that's a word I've just made up, and you get, yep. So apparently that's what everybody's saying, right? I've definitely heard that before. I think, yeah. Right. So look at this. So look at this detail. This is the sort of effect that we want to be getting. This is a damp squid. This we're not happy with. This is not giving us the level of detail we want. This is the level of detail we want. So remember, you always need to be using the right combination. If you're doing embossing and getting this sort of effect and this sort of finish, then it's just not, you haven't got enough pressure. So with 3D embossing, you want that base plate, you want the magnetic, and you also want the frosted plate. Now, obviously, we've made that beautiful, well, we haven't, I've made that lovely card. What I would love to know is any of you who have made, any of you go on and make anything, you know, you take, it doesn't have to be exactly the same card with the same colours, but maybe you've made something and you've taken inspiration from the class that you've learned today. I would love to see what you've done. So if you go and post them on your social channels, use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels. And then also if you hashtag Michael's classes, then I'm following both of those hashtags. I'll be able to see all of the cards that you've made. I'll be able to see how you've got on. I don't know how many of you are on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest, but those hashtags work across all the different platforms, so we'll be able to see what you're doing on all of them. Now, we have had a few questions, so I'll be able to take some of your questions live. Now, Debbie is asking which pens have to be stored upright and which ones store laying flat. Brilliant question, Debbie. Now, my opinion, you should always store all of your pens flat, okay? The only pens that I would store upright are like my kids' cheapy markers. So everything else, always store horizontal. Now, we do a product which is a specific pen storage tray, so that you can store all of your markers and be able to see on the ends of them exactly what all of the colours are, and they'll store them horizontally. It's especially important when you're working with dual tip markers. So all of the Aqua markers that we do are dual tip markers, which means you need to have an even flow of ink to both sides of the pen. If it was just a single tipped marker, it would be all right to store it, but you would want to store it fit. So if it was just this one side was a tip, you would want to store it upwards like this so that the ink was always running to the base. The worry with that is though as well, you can sometimes get a little bit of flooding, whereas if you store your markers horizontally, you're always going to have an even dispersion of ink right through the transorb in the middle. Oh, I'm getting very technical here, aren't I, talking transorbs. You know, 10 to 10 on a night, we don't usually have transorb talk, but yes, that you want to make sure that the ink is evenly dispersed. So any type of markers, you always want that ink. It's the same with your ink pads. You wouldn't store your ink pads sitting upwards like this. You would always have them sitting sideways. Adriana's saying, is that even with the glitter and the metallic markers? Yep, it's with all of your different markers. So the only time, so for example, some of our acrylic paint markers, where it's only one tip, you could store them upside down so that the paint, but the paint's quite free flowing. It's only where you've got a transorb. So if you've got a transorb in the middle there, it's really important. So yes, so that is, different people kind of have different recommendations, but I find anything with a transorb in the middle, you want that lovely even distribution of ink. Right, we've got a lot of love for the Aqua markers coming through, I can tell you. So Katie is saying Aqua markers can make even me look pretty darn good. Yes, Aqua markers can make anyone look good. And do you know what? If you're just a brand new beginner starting out with your colouring journey, I always think watercolour products are a lot easier to work with. Now, my personal favourite, I love to colour with alcohol pens. I love the technique of blending and bleaching and the way you can get the different colours transferring. But I find watercolours are quicker, they're easier, they're fantastic for beginners, and there's a lot more techniques you can do with them. So I've personally taught loads and loads of classes all about watercolouring, and you can just go on YouTube at any point, and if you just look up, you know, Sarah Davies, Aqua markers, you will see all the classes that I've taught with loads of different techniques on those. Now, we've also got a question coming in about the guillotine. So Helen's asking, what size is the guillotine? Let me tell you, we have two different guillotines. We do the small one, and we also do a larger one. So the small one here is about, let me just tell you exactly. The small one has a cutting base, which is about 9 inches deep. And the larger one that goes right up, it has an extender arm that comes right out to your 12 by 12. So that is the different guillotines that we do. So that covers that one for Helen. And then someone else is asking, would you be able to show us how to use the clear overlay? Now, yes, like the clear overlay are these ones here. So they're our sparkle markers. So I've actually got one of them here that I've got out of the packaging, right? So your sparkle markers, what these are is it's a different type of marker to your Aqua markers, but still a water-based ink. And what these are is, can you see on the end of my finger there? It's a water-based ink that comes out with a clear sparkle in there. So you can see the sparkly finish that we've got in there, or even on my dirty finger here. And the sparkle markers have this beautiful kind of Japanese brush nib to them, a little bit like, it's like its own paintbrush on each one, but also it just releases exactly the right amount of ink as well as the sparkle. Now the ink on this one's clear. So if I just bring in, for example, the lovely card that we made, you might want to add a little bit of sparkle onto this base down here, instead of using like a glitter card, for example. So all I'm doing is adding a little bit of sparkle over the top there. Or maybe you want to add a little bit of sparkle onto the raised areas here. So can you see I'm just painting over the top Now, because it's water-based, it will actually start and move the colourant underneath. So can you see I'm getting a little bit of blue picking up on the end of the tip there? That's perfectly normal, and that's because this is a water-based marker and we're going on to another water-based product underneath. So anytime you add a little bit more water on, it's going to make that ink move underneath there again. So hopefully that answers your question there about the sparkle markers. That was Erin asking that one. Thank you, Erin. Now, Tracy is asking, when do you use glycerin for your blending? Oh, let me show you. I love that, right? So here we go. I've got, let me bring in a little bit of cardstock here. I'll use this base here and I'll do a little bit of inking onto here. One of the techniques that you can do is you can use your aqua markers. You know how I did the application with the ink pad? You can use your aqua markers and apply colour around the edges with your aqua markers. Now, let me just show you how it works and doesn't work. So if I wanted to add a little bit of peacock blue onto here, that's what I can do. I can colour with the blue, right? I can pick up the blue onto here. You know, you think it's just like the ink pad because we've got the blue on here now, right? And then I can apply the blue around the edge. But what happens is that blue is drying really, really quickly, right? So that's now dry on here. So it's a little bit hard to apply that blue or to start and blend colours together. So can you see that's really not moving now, and it's not there to pick up a little bit more. What you can do is I have a little bit of glycerin in here, all right? So if I just tip out, now glycerin you can pick up, you can buy food grade glycerin, or you can buy glycerin. You know, I tell you what it is, you know when you've got a really sore throat and you go to the pharmacy and you buy something to like lubricate your throat, you buy glycerin to lubricate your throat, so you can pick it up from the pharmacy. Or you buy glycerin, those of you who are into cake decorating, and you can buy food glycerin, it's the same sort of stuff, so that when you're doing your icing and you want to mold your icing a bit more, you add a bit more glycerin and it increases, it kind of doesn't harden out as quickly. So it's the same here. If I add a little bit of glycerin onto here, so all I'm doing is picking up a little bit of glycerin into the base here. So that glycerin then increases the open time. So now if I put my ink down and I pick up my ink onto the base here, this will be wet for much longer. So can you see now I've got like a wet base that I can apply from. So what the glycerin does is it increases the open time of your aqua markers so that you've got a lot longer to work with. So there we go. So now I can apply that round there, and I can also go and I could start apply around this side again. And if I wanted to pick up a new colour, I could just pop a little bit of pink onto there as well. Pick up a little bit of pink and we'll now make a lovely shade of purple. So now I've created my own, I've mixed two colours together there, and you can see that's a different purple to the blue that we've got under here, because we've increased the open time of the markers by adding in the glycerin there. So a lot of love coming in for that tip there. That's why it's nice to be live here and to be able to give all these little tips and tricks as we're going. So brilliant. So that was someone asking about glycerin. Brilliant. Next question, guys. They're all loving the glycerin right now. They are all loving the glycerin. Just make sure. And like I said, it's really easy to pick up. Whenever I do that technique with the glycerin, a lot of people say, oh, I've never heard of glycerin. I didn't know what that was or where I could get it from. All you want to do is pick that, and you're going to go and pick that up from the pharmacy as it was. Now, someone else is asking, when do you use tacky glue versus when do you use all-purpose glue? So these are just a couple of the different glues that we have here. So what this is, now when I'm doing some flat sticking, so if I wanted to matte and layer this base that we've just inked up, for example, I would use the all-purpose glue, because the all-purpose glue has a little bit of time to maneuver it into place. Your tacky glue will tack really instantly, but it's a water-based glue, so it's a lot wetter. And if you get a lot on your cardstock, your card can wrinkle. It's one of the negatives of it. The positives are you can use it to stick all sorts. So if I'm sticking gems or buttons or ribbons on my card, I wouldn't use an all-purpose because it's not strong enough. A tacky glue is going to dry, it's going to tack fairly instantly, and it's going to dry super permanent so that it won't then kind of come off later down the line. You use it with this one one and it'll be off by the time it's dry, if that makes sense. So brilliant for your matting and layering. This one here is going to be absolutely perfect if you're wanting to do work with different substances. Now, someone's asking what colour aqua markers I use. I happen to pick up the Fuchsia, Kingfisher and Peacock Blue there. In your different aqua marker sets that we do, you'll see we always do different varieties of colours, and we always plan which colours will work together from the same colour families. So as long as you pick up 3 shades from within the same kind of box set that we do, they're always going to work together beautifully well. And you can see the details up there for the nature box, but we've got loads of different selections of aqua markers on michaels.com if you go and have a look. Right, have we got any other questions, or have I managed to kind of cover everything off of being going on? I think we've pretty much covered everything off as we've gone along. Guys, I hope you've really enjoyed that class there. I know we've done a little bit of everything. We've gone from die cutting, we've done a little bit of aqua colouring there, we've learned about embossing, we've learned how to emboss our dies as well. I know a lot of you are die-hard Gemini fans from what I'm hearing on there, but it's sometimes nice just to go back to basics. I hope you like the card that we did. I just tried to choose something nice and simple so that everybody could go away and have a go at making this. And also I tried to use things that you got in the box. So try to use all the dies and the embossing folders that you've already got in the box. So there's no reason all of those of you who either have the Gemini Junior or are going out to buy the Gemini Junior won't have everything that's included in there. Don't forget when you're making things to post them on your social media channels and use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels or hashtag Michaels Classes, and then I'll see everything that you've done, and I can't wait to see how you all get on. I really hope you've enjoyed doing that, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Right, lots of love. Bye bye.